talking about the Munro Global Climate Change Leaders Fund. We think the fund will do well for investors over time because the companies within the fund and the stocks within the fund are all growing their earnings quite quickly due to decarbonisation spending around the world, whether it be spending by corporates to decarbonise their supply chains or their products, whether it be by governments cleaning up land or making the air and water cleaner. So it's quite a strong structural growth tailwind that ends up as a revenue opportunity for these companies that sell these products and build these services. So there's no single place where you can just find all of these companies. You have to go and do the work and travel around and speak to other companies about where they're spending to decarbonise their operations. So what we would then do is follow that money to the end supplier of that product or service to decarbonise a particular operation and try to figure out where the money's going, where the spending's going, and hopefully invest in that company. So it just involves a lot of bottom-up work and a lot of shoe leather to find the beneficiaries of the decarbonisation opportunity. Yeah, so it's just that. We've been doing this for quite a long time, well over a decade. We've been covering these same universe of companies for quite a long period of time. So we're always on the lookout for the next company coming along and the next area. Within climate investing, you have a lot of different S-curves. I think everyone knows about EV S-curves. Everyone knows about solar S-curves, wind S-curves. But there's a whole bunch of things below the surface that people just don't think about. It's things like transmission grids, it's things like HVAC, things like lighting, and then further out into the future, things like emerging parts of the nuclear supply chain, like small modular reactors, hydrogen, well off into the future, but things that we're looking at today to potentially benefit from in the future. Yeah, I feel pretty good. These dynamics are pretty strong in terms of decarbonisation spending. There's not a day that goes past where a big company doesn't announce some sort of idea or some sort of objective to get its carbon emissions down. Recently, we've had a lot of announcements from big tech companies talking about decarbonisation spending, new sources of power for their data centres as an example, or investing in an area to build up the renewable power sources and things like that. So these type of catalysts are coming all the time, and so that's what's basically continuing to keep us very excited in this area. Yeah, so our biggest area of interest within the climate space at the moment is actually a pretty old school industry that people probably don't think about a lot, but it's actually within energy efficiency. So it's things like heating, ventilation, air conditioning, lighting, insulation, things that have been around for many, many years, but are exciting areas of growth for decarbonisation because it's probably the easiest place for governments and corporates to start their decarbonisation spending. And so we're seeing a lot of orders in that area, and that's basically helping these companies grow. Yeah, so if you think about it, there's still a lot of coal and gas around. So that does need to be replaced over the next couple of decades. And so that will get replaced with solar and wind because they are becoming cheaper alternatives. But we also need batteries as well. And batteries is just at the very start. So we're quite excited about the batteries as an opportunity to invest in. The other thing that people don't really think about, they think about wind turbines and solar panels. They don't really think about how the power gets from those solar farms and wind farms to population centres or to manufacturing hubs and so forth. And so to redo the power supply, you need to redo the grid. And so there needs to be a lot of investments in things like cables, transformers, and so forth. So that's an area of interest for us as well. We're putting a lot of our time and effort today to investigate that. The other thing that's happened in the Western world is we haven't invested in these these pieces of infrastructure for quite some time, and so a lot of the grid is past its use-by date and it needs to be rebuilt. So there's a lot of investment that needs to go in here, and this is where our companies are positioned to benefit. We think the fund will do well for investors over time because the companies within the fund and the stocks within the fund are all growing their earnings quite quickly due to decarbonisation spending around the world, whether it be spending by corporates to decarbonise their supply chains or their products, whether it be by governments cleaning up land or making the air and water cleaner. So it's quite a strong structural growth tailwind that ends up as a revenue opportunity for these companies that sell these products and build these services.